Hi, I'm a horticulture student and we had to plant a load of spinach for a practical. So this is us combining equal parts compost and perlite until it looks like that, nice and smooth. I wrote so many labels, and then I realised that I had to write another lot, and I got David to do it. You can see David here pressing down the compost. Call me lazy, but I did already write out 12, so let me have it. Wait, 12? 15? No, 15. So these are the seeds for the spinach. This is the method that we use. You put them in a piece of paper and kind of sprinkle them as even as you can. We did end up having to go and even a few out. Like you see there, that just, sometimes they just land in one place and it's, you know. But here they are mostly finished. And then we bottom watered them. We were supposed to put vermiculite on top beforehand to retain the moisture, but it does work if you put it on after because the moisture is all the way at the top of the soil anyway. It just takes a bit longer to soak in. This is the vermiculite. We put it in a pot and then use the drainage hole at the bottom to kind of sprinkle it evenly. It works better if it's less full, but for the sake of filming I was struggling. And this is them all done. Follow for updates.
Hey everybody, it's your garden mom. I have this bare patch of ground which I'm saving for basil this summer. But like I said earlier, if you have a bare patch of ground and you leave it too long, the weeds will find it. So I'm going to plant this baby hybrid cauliflower as my quick crop. Once I transplant it, I should be just about a month away from harvesting some cauliflower. I bought these seeds online from a store rather ironically called Totally Tomatoes. These heads will be about 2 to 3 inches wide, perfect size for a stir fry. I started these seedlings about 6 weeks ago, so whenever you're looking at the maturity date on the back of a packet of seeds, it's always going to be from the date you transplanted into the bed. Now, one important tip, whenever you're growing anything in the brassica family, which includes broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, be sure and firm the roots in really well. Really pack down the soil around them. Typically, this is something we advise against, but in the case of these plants, it actually prevents a condition called club root, which can really affect your harvest.
You want to grow big, beautiful, productive peppers this year? Let me show you 3 things that are going to help you do just that. The first thing that you'll need is nitrogen. So when your pepper plants get started, you want to make sure that you are watering with some fertilizer that has nitrogen. Coffee is a cheap alternative to some of the more expensive fertilizer. You can even get free used coffee grounds at your local Starbucks. Just ask for coffee grounds for gardeners. The nitrogen that you get from the coffee grounds is going to help your plant get a great start. Plant will be nice and beautiful and bushy. You can switch to a fertilizer that has a lower amount of nitrogen. In this case, this one has none, but I do have a nitrogen that I'll continue to feed the pepper plants. And so this one is higher in phosphorus and potassium, which is what the plants will need for energy. They're going to need a lot of energy in order to put on peppers. And once they start putting on peppers, they're going to need that magnesium to make those peppers grow. And last but certainly not least, you're going to need to cut the tops off of those peppers. See the way I topped these? I topped all of these just a couple of days ago. And let me show you what happens. Look at all the new growth that is happening in just a couple of days after cutting these tops off.
Want to grow your own food but short on funds? Here's how you can do it. First, we're going to make our own soil by using veggie and fruit scraps from the kitchen and mixing that with 2 parts brown. Short on browns like I am, I ask my neighbors for leaves because I don't have any trees. Dead grass clippings work as well. Some companies will send you free seeds when you join their catalog list, or you can keep an eye out for clearance plants. A layer of cardboard and compost are all you need to throw some seeds in the ground, or use any food-safe container. Chop weeds and mix them with brown sugar to make your own fermented plant juice nitrogen-rich fertilizer. Crush up dried eggshells for a calcium supplement. And wood ash is a great potassium and lime mineral source, just use sparingly. Bananas soaked in water makes a good potassium hit as well. And collect rainwater however you can with whatever you have. So what are you waiting for?
Okay, so you just bought an asparagus plant. You're probably super stoked to eat asparagus all season long, but it became a tiny tree. What? Yep, asparagus will do that. Asparagus is a perennial, so it'll keep popping up year after year. But the first couple years after you plant it, it doesn't have enough energy to produce enough asparagus for you to enjoy. So it branches out pretty fast. When it first starts growing, asparagus looks like this, just a bunch of stems sticking out of the ground. But as it gets older, it gets taller and branches out. You can see the little branches forming on this one. Let's say it's been 3 years after you've planted your asparagus and you're super stoked to start harvesting. There are a few things to remember so your plant stays healthy and you have asparagus for years to come. When your asparagus gets this tall, leave it alone because there's a lot of energy going into this shoot to create branches just like the one behind me. But this asparagus is a perfect height. When you harvest asparagus, make sure to cut it as close to the ground as possible so a lot of energy is saved in the root ball. You can see that this asparagus was cut too high. Have fun.
Look at those fantastic roots on these brassica plants. These ones are actually calabrese, summer broccoli. Now, they've been in these pots a little bit longer than normal. They were sowed there and then. Now, I've got to separate them. I would normally have bought them in the ground by now, early May, but it's been so cold. So I'm going to leave it a week or two now the weather's warming up. I'm going to put them carefully in there in a 4-inch pot without disturbing the roots. But you don't have to grow them from seeds, your brassicas, your cabbages and calabrese, cauliflowers. You can go and buy little plants at the greenhouse or nursery, and if you've got a little patch in the ground that you do it, yeah, that's a great idea. Just make sure that you add plenty of lime to the soil because they do like lime, the brassicas.